All right, welcome everybody to the presentation piece that we're going to have with Brother Freedom as part of our half day of mindfulness. Really excited about what's going to be shared, and I just want to provide a little bit of background to Brother Freedom and also my experience with meeting Brother Freedom for the first time. Been with Deer Park Monastery and visiting every year for the past 10 years or so. And I remember seeing Brother Freedom there for the first time, sort of this man just towering over all the other monastics there. And we had a Dharma sharing group together, and Brother Freedom sort of gave me like this affectionate name, Zenzak. And, I never forgot about that. And he's been calling me that ever since. And so something about Brother Freedom just really resonated with me because you seemed like just this really sweet, like gentle giant, right? And he even came out here to Arizona in Phoenix to present the Dharma to the practitioners here in Central Arizona. And so that was really special. We had Brother Jim and Brother Earth along with him in person, so that was really nice to have that time together. Now, Brother Freedom is an old soul with Croatian roots and a German upbringing. His professional journey encompasses studies in alternative medicine, work as a naturopath, and VIP guest services. However, his life took a profound turn when he stumbled upon Thich Nhat Hanh on a book cover during a period of personal healing. This encounter prompted him to reevaluate his life. So in 2010, he decided to leave his career, sell all of his belongings, and embark on a transformative journey to Plum Village in France, where he was ordained as a Buddhist monk. And in the subsequent years, he continued his monastic life at Blue Cliff Monastery in New York and Deer Park Monastery in California, serving as acting abbot and a Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation board member. In 2024, he retired from the Plum Village community to share the teachings and practices outside the monastery. His mission has taken him to various places, including Allianz, Duisburg Group, Google, Meta, Salesforce, and the World Economic Forum in Davos, where he imparted mindfulness practices. So without further ado, I'll invite Brother Freedom, and I'll put myself on mute.
Can you hear me, guys? Okay. So, thank you for the warm welcome. It's really my pleasure and my honor to join you guys tonight. And I said, like, I'm curious what I'm going to share about. Of course, we've been talking a little bit, and I was asking what topic would be relevant to you. And that's when the Caretaking Council came up with this beautiful title, Bamboos in the Wind. And they gave me a little intention behind this, which I want to read so everybody's on the same page. How to remain as an engaged Buddhist in politically charged events without taking sides or participating in cultural norms such as Christmas without getting lost in consumer behavior. How can we be a positive influence in these circumstances? Must we abandon civilization to preserve our precepts? And the short answer is no, we don't need to abandon civilization. I returned to civilization and I have to, no bragging, but I have to say that I don't found it challenging to keep my precepts out here. Of course, as you can see, I adapted a little bit now being in my own lineage. being in the world. And that's actually what this unpronounceable name, as some of you mentioned, means, Mönch Micha. Mönch is playing with the words between human in German, which is Mensch, and monk, which is Mönch. Very similar. So I made a Mönch out of it, which is a human monk, a man monk, or a mank. Maybe you would say in English, a mank. I don't know. So just to explain that, and Mika, Misha, Michael is my given name for my parents. Yes. So the gentle giant might give you some provocative, self-reflecting pokes. That's what I like to do, to ask ourselves deeply where we are. Are we with our practice? Is our practice in our minds only, or is it also in our words and our actions? And how do we practice when conditions are not favorable? And with what I just read, like the election coming up, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Christmas coming up, there's a lot of challenges this year to stay firm and flexible. And that was the image the CTC had when they thought of the tidal bamboo in the wind, because a bamboo is firm, firmly grounded, but also very playful at its top and swinging and dancing in the wind. So how can we be, as practitioners, be more like a bamboo? And I love the title because it opens the door to so many teachings and insights and metaphors. And I want to dive right into it. The first story that comes to my mind is that when there's a new family, monastic family, to ordain new novices, Tai would call us into his hut and reveal the name of the family to the group. Not the names, the monastic names, this you will hear in the ordination, but the family you are born into. And my family is named the violet bamboos. There's actually the black bamboo, but if you look into a grove of black bamboos, it shimmers like violet because of this reflecting light. And it is said that Avalokiteshvara loved to meditate in these black bamboo groves. And Tai said back then, when we were sitting around him and having a little fire in his fireplace going, and we were quite nervous, but the youngest member of our family, he was just 21 or so. He was super nervous, and I had to hold his hand. And he needed to do something, so he threw wood into the fireplace all the time. And then he threw a bamboo in the fireplace, and everybody, like including Tai, said, "No, no, not the bamboo," because you know what happens when you throw bamboo into the fire? They are empty inside, and then these segments, but the segment inside is empty. So what happens is it will explode once you put it into a fire. And so we rescued ourselves from any danger in Tai's hut. And Tai said, like, I named you the violet bamboos because before I named families like birds. He had always beautiful poetic names for the families. I named them like birds, but then I realized they all flew away. So now I want to call you the bamboos, and you are firmly planted and grounded, and you will stay as monastics. We didn't come true. So from 13 ordained monastics in this violet bamboo family, there are only 6 now left, 4 sisters and 2 brothers in Plum Village. And I also remember, being a naughty novice, playful, and this a new life beginning, and you can be like a little bit more your inner child and worry free. And like with your beginner's mind, we renamed our family. We said, we are not the violet bamboos, we are the violent baboons. And since ever then, because we had that kind of little naughty character, everybody called us the violent baboons. But nevertheless, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the characteristics of a bamboo, because as I said, like it's a beautiful, beautiful example as practitioners to look and to take away some of its traits and how it lives and how it co-lives. Just if you imagine a bamboo in nature, maybe you want to close your eyes and just imagine. I guess you never see a single bamboo. I never saw a single bamboo except of being planted into a pot. They always come as a sangha. They always come as a community because they need each other, right? When you try to dig into the ground in a bamboo grove, this is not possible because the roots are everywhere. And whoever planted a couple of bamboos also knows that they go wild after a while, and you really have to fence them in like a tub or something if you don't want bamboos in your whole garden. But what they do is they hold each other, and that's why they can grow so tall. They just shoot up. They don't take any other way like trees or other plants go a little bit left and a little bit right and make a turn here to look beautiful. No, they go straight up because they know they're firmly grounded. And their bamboo siblings offer them offer them that firmness, that roots that carries everyone. Everybody's carrying everyone. And I dare say that as tall as they are, they can only afford to go straight up and becoming this beautiful, tender bamboo top that dances and swings in the wind, makes beautiful noises when the wind brushes through them. Because the tree top, this bamboo top, is aware of the stability of its trunk, of its roots. Just as we novices like would take refuge in the insight and the practice of the elders who were our mentors, were our teachers, and we could play around and give our ordination family blasphemous names and just rename the holy name Tai gave us and play tricks on our teachers and mentors. One day when we had mentor-mentee with our eldest, we were 5 novices. This was shortly after we ordained as novices. And usually they would invite us to their rooms. So we were in his room drinking tea, and he had some sage to burn very lightly. And then he left because he had to take a phone call. And what did we do? We took all the sage he had in his room and burned it all. And we were sitting in a cloud of sage. And when he came back, he couldn't believe his eye. He couldn't believe we were doing this. And we were giggling. So this is a metaphor for this swinging bamboo top that swings to every little notion from the wind, left and right, and enjoys the a little bit higher place there. And the ground, the roots are holding them. And I believe, because I believe in the intelligence of nature and especially of trees, and we learned a lot about it, and there are many books out, that the tree knows when to stop to grow. up there, to be too light, to be too fragile, to be too lofty. It knows how important it is to stretch out to the sun, to receive the rays, the light, to get in touch with the air, to move. But it also knows when to stop. Only when the trunk grows thicker, it can dare to grow a little bit higher, taller. And this already we can take for our practice. Before we start growing anywhere, be it right up or be it like decoratively differently, we have to make sure there is a solid, solid foundation. Best within a grove, within a sangha, that we can rely on, that we can take refuge in, that we simply by knowing that they are holding us to can start growing. But always watching out, where are we growing and how does that feel? So we cannot just blindly rely on our roots. We have to check out, how is the wind up here? How is the atmosphere? How is my condition? How is my constitution? Am I strong enough to bear the wind, or am I daring to break? And when I break, will this have consequences for the whole grove? This is how trees think. And it reminds me what Thay says about trees. It's exactly that. He says, when you look at a tree, its trunk firm and stable, carrying the treetop, is our true self, is our mindfulness, is our true home. And the mind is our treetop. It's very sensitive, and it rustles with the lightest brush of wind. Can get a lot of information or data, as we say today, about the quality of the air, about the strength of the wind, about if it's still enjoyable and playful or if it's becoming dangerous. And when the wind becomes a storm and shakes the treetop, there are leaves flying off, branches are breaking, flying around. The tree is becoming stripped naked, from top to bottom. So Thay suggested to us, and all of us find ourselves in storms, emotional storms, like political storms, holiday storms, to retreat into our trunk, to not stay in our head, in our mind, when the wind blows too strongly, for our thoughts that represent the leaves, our ideas, our values to be shaken, maybe broken off, carried away, never to be found again, but to retreat into the trunk, which is the same being, and they know about each other. And Thay said, our trunk is just upon our navel, like it's a solar plexus, just an inch to on top of our navel. And as we practiced already, he said, put your hand there and breathe. Feel your belly rising and falling. And do that as long as it needs for you to establish there where you're safe, firm, and wait for the storm to be over. And to me, this is also comparable with like a human being. We have our body, which I take as the trunk, and we have our mind, which I take as the treetop. And you see, while the body is always grounded, literally, like you're grounded It can jump a little bit, but gravity will quickly show its limits. And then the mind, this lofty, airy thing that can travel through time and space, can be yesterday in a second, and in another second, 200 years in the future, or other way around. It can put itself at locations that we are not right now. If I could choose, I would choose Arizona right now. It's better than here in Germany. It's so cold here. My mind can do it. My body cannot follow. You see, that's it. But they're same entity. They're same entity within a collective, within a grove. And I can rely also on the people around me, on my clan, on my family, on the ones that I'm tight with below the earth. We're holding each other, Sangha. But as different as we may seem, the body and the mind, there is no competition. There's no jealousy. There's no blame. There's no judgment. The mind travels, makes experiences, collects stories, imagines foreign worlds, travels the cosmos, travels time, but it knows about the grounding, the firm home the body provides. And the body is happy. It's not saying like, where have you been the past 4 days? I haven't seen you around at all. And now you're knocking at the door again and you want to come in here? No. The body would never say that because the body knows the mind is a part of it. It says like, whoa, my dear, where have you been? Good to see you again. Haven't seen you in 4 days. I believe you have a lot to share with me. And then the body comes back with the help of the breath, of course, my dears, right? The mind comes back to the body. Then the body starts translating all these impressions and experiences and audio visuals the mind is bringing back to the body. And it becomes like the heartbeat, the hormones, the muscles. The body acts and reacts on the stories of the mind. And the mind is grateful, saying like, oh, my dear body, I've been all over the place, literally all over the place. I'm so glad that I have arrived, that I'm back home. And you're always here waiting for me. And sometimes I exaggerate and go too far or for too long. And I hardly remember where my home is. But with the help of our friend, the breath, I always find the way back home. So the body is also not blaming, but it says, oh, my dear mind, I'm so glad you came back and sharing these stories with me, your experiences, what you've been through. This explains the world to me. You know, I'm here grounded. I can jump a little. I can walk left. I can walk right. I can walk stairs up and down. But I can't travel like you. And I love hearing, what are you going through? What's possible? What's out there in the world? Please, I want you to be free. Go out, but come back and share with me the stories of life. So you see, these two are actually very good friends, and including their friend, the breath, because the breath is the one who always brings them back. And the breath is connected with the mind because it remembers. Oh, I want to come back to my breath. Oh, I want to be mindful. And the body is sensing, it's feeling the breath, the rising and the falling of the abdomen, knowing of its existence, maybe sometimes calling, hey, breath, can you call the mind back? I'm missing some stories. Or the breath healing the mind, saying like, I'm all over the place. Can you bring me back home, please? And here we go. So when we look at ourselves today, maybe looking to Tuesday, looking to when's Thanksgiving, end of the month, right? We just came out of Halloween. When we look at the challenges we are facing in our lives. What is that wind? What is that storm? Name it. Name it so you can gauge its danger to your fragile branches, to the leaves, just lightly being attached to these branches. You want to swing and dance, or would you allow them to tear you off, break your branches, and carry you to a complete different place, unrooted, separated from your trunk, broken? I think we have a lot in our own hands if we stay connected with these, looks like opposites. They're so different, but they know, just like the bamboo trunk knows where the end of it is. And the light and dancing bamboo top knows exactly to trust the strength of the, let's call it the old bamboo, because that's where it all started. So one question we can ask ourselves, if we feel literally all over the place, or if we feel carried away, or if we feel challenged by outer situations, being at our own treetop in that moment, to look down the trunk and see, is this trunk strong enough to hold this? Is my foundation strong enough to hold this challenge? And more concrete, is my practice strong enough, a good base to go through the storm, to not lose my branches and my kids, my leaves? Often we have ideas about the practice, about mindfulness, about inner peace, but in situations where they are most needed, and I include myself, we tend to forget them because we are just overwhelmed by that, what's happening up there in the treetop. And somehow we believe we have to be there where the action goes on, where the war is raging, where I am needed. Who says that we are not needed down in the trunk? Offer stability and be connected. Physically, thanks to, what's her name? Jill Bolte Taylor, one of the top 10 most watched TED Talks ever. We know that emotions, the average lifespan of an emotion is 90 seconds. So whatever hits us emotionally has an effect on our body. And again, like the heartbeat might be raised, hormones will be emitted, the muscles maybe get tense. And it takes 90 seconds just to give, you see, the body again communicates with the mind, communicates with all the entities it includes. So it just says there's something happening, I'm peaking, and the combination of hormones and muscle tension and the heartbeat will give you a clue what we are facing right now. Right? And this does it only for you to recognize 90 seconds, and then it will relax again. But our restless mind will find a great danger in it and might find that my life or my peace or my happiness or my practice is in danger, and we start fighting against it. Although it is over, mostly after 90 seconds, it's over, and we continue to think how we can solve this, what we can do. So if we would be connected, mind, body, trunk, treetop, we would realize that often we extend worries, difficulties, thoughts, and emotions unnecessarily. But how can we go through this? This is the question, right, of the question. The third patriarch of Zen, and forgive me, patriarch, if I forgot your name, but I love him, and I will remember, said the great way is not difficult for those without preferences. So if I don't think in my swinging mind, this is good, this is bad, this is pleasant, this is unpleasant, that's right, that's wrong, that's just, unjust, I'm actually good. I can sway lightly, I can dance my leaves, but there's no danger of breaking it all because the path is very broad. And with our ideas of what practice is, how to practice, and when to make exceptions in difficult moments, when I can skip a step or when it doesn't count for myself, then the great way becomes a very narrow path, and we tend to fall to the one or the other side. And this all is buried, I want to say, in consciousness. And even if many of you have seen or heard it before, Thai speaking, it is too important and eye-opening and relevant not to mention it. So you all know the circle of the consciousness, right? Thai always draws on a board. And interestingly, there are in Buddhism, we separate them into 8 consciousnesses, although everybody knows there's only one, there can be only one consciousness. But to make it easier for analytics and to comprehend, to understand the way we work, we separate it. So we have our 5 sense consciousness, like eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. And then we have the store consciousness, which some say is the Amazon of seeds, of qualities, of values. Everything is there. It's Pandora's box, and we don't actually want to open it. Everything is there, from wholesome seeds, unwholesome seeds. Everything a human can experience possibly is in there, and maybe even more, which we yet have to experience and explore. Then there is the mind consciousness, where the seeds of the store become active. So they are dormant, sleeping in a field, like seeds in a field, and now somebody waters them, and some of them sprout, and they pop up in the mind consciousness. So you already see it's very important to see where we water on which part of the field, because different parts of the field bear different seeds. And the water in this case is our attention. And there can be intentional attention, so that we know what is needed when we are in a storm, which seeds would be helpful to gain strength, to come in touch with the trunk, with the stability, the trust and the confidence we have in our practice, in our teacher, in our Sangha, in the Dharma, in any teaching. Once we read a book or we hear a teaching and say, that's true, do we remember that when we're in a bad place? The thing is that the eighth consciousness is a small strip. And you remember the consciousness circle is divided. An upper part is the mind, the lower part is the store, and then there is this, just like in a Pepsi Cola sign, like this divider. And this is a consciousness for itself. Lives manas, they say. And manas is, as small as they may seem on these illustrations, a very beautiful consciousness. And very naive, and in a way also sweet, because it adores the store consciousness. Tai always said it loves the store consciousness because it's everything is there, and it believes it's so rich and it is everything that it makes it separate from the other consciousnesses. And then, of course, being in the middle between store and mind, it looks at the mind and sees things popping up from the store, and it also says this is also a separate one. And then seeing the sense organs where impulses come into the mind, they're all different consciousnesses. So for manas, it's not one tree. It's many parts of the tree. And now manas made it its mission to take care of them. Manas often functions as the protector. In psychology or psychotherapy, you have a protector that protects your mind from traumatic memories, from things that are not doing you any good, from storms, for example. And it will actually white lie you that there is no storm, but it's raging and you can feel it. But it says it's all good, it's all great, don't do it. Because manas hates to suffer. And it hates to suffer for a reason, because humankind has suffered a lot. And when you look at evolution, what we were going through, it's always this famous fight, flight, and freeze. So only with the cultivation of spiritual insights, of a cultivation of spiritual practice, we were able to relax a little bit and step back and see things maybe from a little distant. And also realize that we are not separate from another, that we are all connected, and that is what gives us strength. But this is what manas cannot see, and so it tries to avoid the suffering and bring us straight to happiness. And that this is not working, we can, I think, experience every day. So as soon as you have a consciousness, you have sense organs, right? That transmit the impulses. And now we're going into the teaching. I said this title opens many doors. Let's hop into the teaching of interdependent co-arising. And there it says, if there is a consciousness, there are sense organs. And we have them with our mind. And as soon as you have sense organs, there's a sense object, something you perceive with your sense organs, of course. And these sense organs connect, attach, make contact with this sense object. Now, an interesting thing happen. And that's it. Wherever there's a sense object, there's a feeling. And this is interesting because it's not only that we perceive something, our experience, manas, our values, our beliefs, our upbringing, our culture, our ideas, stirring this actually neutral touching an object into something that has weight, emotional weight, mental weight. We're judging, we're putting it just like manas, basically. We're keeping it for something separate, and now we take position towards this object. And unfortunately, we're not very creative. So where you have a feeling, it can always go two sides. One, you say, whoa, that's a pleasant feeling. That's right. That's great. That's good. And you love it and you attach to it because it feels so good and you want more of it. Forgetting the teaching of impermanence, that everything comes, stays, and goes. So when this pleasant feeling, this pleasant idea goes, fades again, what we do is we go back to our mind consciousness and fire up a few of the seeds by looking at something, bring our attention to something that is similar to the joy we just experienced and about to fade, to fire it up again, to keep it going, to keep the good times rolling, we say. And basically, to come back to our sense organs, to the sense object, to the feeling, to another intersection. So we didn't really move. We just moved in a circle. Same thing happens when you find something is wrong, bad, unpleasant, unjust. Aversion. This is not me. I don't want to have anything to do with it. That's even easier for the mind. You go straight back to the mind consciousness. You look for something else, an idea, a sound, a visual that gives you some comfort of this shocking perception you just had. And look for something that gives you more comfort, that is more you, that resonates better with me. And then you go back to that sense object with a feeling. But what happens in both of them, you only come to one point, you return to the mind, you go out again, but it's a dead-end street, and you go back. Either it's good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. And you see by the movement of my finger, it's like this eternity sign nearly. It's an 8. It's samsara. This is what we call samsara. You're caught in a hamster wheel, in a double hamster wheel. Mhm. Now, this very moment, you see, when the sense object comes to that intersection of feeling, of course, this is a very pregnant, we say in German, I don't know if you say so, pregnant moment. This is the moment of revelation, actually. Where is my practice? How much? Now, this is between storm and trunk. This is the moment of truth. Where can I go with my mindfulness? Where can I go with my mindfulness practice? I enter this space, and there are powers that are pulling and pushing. It's like a magnetic field. Some push me to the pleasant attachment, some pull me to the aversion. And it's a strong wind in there. It's a storm, it's blowing. I have to make a decision. I'm here, and two sides are pulling on me. Now, if I just let go and I'm becoming willingness and I say whatever, it will draw me to any. But also, if I make a decision, I'm trying to be intentional and say, this feels right for me, I automatically attach. Or if I say, no, that's not good, and I know this, is this not good? I directly go down the aversion road. And if you look at this little point, subsequent point of the co-arising of interdependent co-arising, then you see that it's just one more point to cross, actually. It's not the end station. So we want to zoom into this moment and look at it. So it's not just like a perception, a feeling, like a great storm that makes us uncomfortable and we have to decide what to do and where to go. But we can stay calm, we can return to our trunk, and especially in a moment like this, and feel the belly rising and falling. And bring all our attention away from the mind into the trunk, getting in touch with a strong bark that has been built for years, decades, the strong foundation, the roots, the connection of roots with neighboring trees, the communication between the roots, me and neighboring trees. Zoom in into this moment and make it the moment. In Buddhist terms, we call it ksana. Ksana is the smallest possible time unit, like the smallest part of a second. The smallest. There is no smaller than ksana. And now, of course, life is filled with infinite number of ksanas. But in this case, it really counts because we have to go into this very moment. It's a field of fate, actually. If we let ourselves pull in one or the other direction, or if we are able to return to our trunk, to our center, to our true home, and see that we are neither of this. That there is no need for us to make a decision if this situation is good or bad. And we would go mad because there are, and we know it, millions of situations like this we are facing in our lives, personally, privately, professionally, politically, sportive, our favorite team wins or loses. There's this flow of perceptions, of emotions flowing through us. Just like a tree, we are like filled with the 5 skandhas, another teaching. The 5 skandhas, the 5 aggregates are flowing through us constantly. And the 5 skandhas are the body. Our body is constantly changing, producing new cells, letting old cells go. Now, when we become older, you don't see so much change, but we change constantly. Then our feelings, we know feelings come and feelings go. And if we would decide for each feeling if it's a good or a bad one, or if we want to attach or push it away, this would be very overwhelming, actually. So we pick only a few that we say are relevant, that are important, matter, and best is for humankind or for something bigger than us. Instead of looking into this very small ksana where nothing else counts but us. What do we do in this moment? This will determine the rest of my life, basically. Continuation of the flow. Then we have the perceptions. The perception is how I move through this world. My belly rising and falling, my eyes blinking. Is what I perceive. The mental formations, which are the thoughts, which are the feelings, the emotions. And the 5th skandha, consciousness itself, right? As the canvas for all of this. So we, just like the bamboo, there's a stream flowing through us. And it's not always easy to stop at this very intersection, the field of fate, or let me call it the field of freedom. Because there it is in our hands to not make a decision, to look at it, to let it in, and it doesn't feel like I want to live with this forever, but I won't want to label it and say this is bad. Because how often have I realized that when something bad happens, it needed to happen for something good to turn out, or what I perceived as bad or unhelpful. It was just a preparation for conditions to reassemble and build something that will actually serve my highest well-being. And only later I will say, oh, now I see what it was good for. And I'm not saying that we're all doing it wrong. I just say we often do it too fast. When we're in this strong field, in this strong magnetic field of fate, and these forces are pushing and pulling us towards one direction, we often give up too quickly and we don't breathe long enough because our heartbeat might be raised, our hormones may be pouring out alarms, our muscles are tensed. But now in the deep relaxation, we realized the moment you lie down is not the same moment when you open your eyes at the end. By sheer breathing and bringing your mindfulness, bringing your attention to that trunk, to yourself, to your true home, you get in touch with the strong roots you have, with the strong roots you are. The treetop gets in touch with the roots and the roots with the treetop. And there's communication, there are options. So of course you can make the decision and say this is bad and go that way, or say this is good and you want more. Just have a look where it will bring you. It will bring you to the exact same place. So when we are able to breathe through these moments of unease, of storm, retreating, taking refuge in our trunk, we will actually maybe be pulled up and down by one of these forces, but we breathe ourselves out of this field of freedom, and we are arriving in a state of equanimity, of inner peace, because I don't have to decide what's good and what's bad. Who am I? We say things don't feel right, things feel right. We know it's a stream. What feels right now may feel wrong tomorrow. And by then we have forgotten, or we say, yeah, but that was yesterday, you know. If we have enough confidence in our practice, no storm can do us any harm. And you know, the five powers say exactly that. The five powers start with faith. Faith in your own practice and in your own transformation is the first power. It all starts there. It's an intention you are setting. You are saying, I'm practicing because I know it works and know it changes me. I know it awakens me. It makes me see clear, stand firm, and still dance at the top. I can still enjoy the wind, but if it's necessary to retreat back, I will retreat back. The second, what is the second? Diligence. You see, by cultivating practice, little strokes fell big oaks. We do this, but we can also practice in a way where we do, okay, now my 20-minute sitting, now my 15 minutes walking. It will work, I guess, but it's not really convincing to me. If I walk, I really want to walk because I need exactly that. And luckily, we have so many practices at hand. If I feel like I have to lock my body down and not move because I feel it's restless and I need silence, then I go for sitting meditation. And I do, how did you say, Susan, chrysanthemum or lotus or half lotus or Burmese, and I lock my legs, sit upright, kind of force my body to be still. And after a few minutes, it becomes still because it knows there's nowhere to go and I'm not walking right now. When I feel I need to move and I feel the grounding quality of Mother Earth, as Zach said, like when we walk, please pay attention to the effect your soles, your feet what they do to the earth, if they kiss the earth, if they massage the earth, how you walk on this being you are not disconnected from, which is also like our root, right? We can take refuge in the earth. And practice becomes really something what deserves the name practice, not just repetition, but it's a practice. And I'm practicing for situations that are overwhelming, that are stronger than I might be, but with this confidence and the faith I have from these little practices, like from these little emotional winds or storms, I know I can tackle this. I know I can transform this. There's the diligence part. And the three next are mindfulness, concentration, and insight. To be aware of, to focus on it, to get an insight. Actually, Tai often, he added a sixth power to the five powers, and that was letting go. And not letting go of like you being that strong magnetic field and letting the wind decide where you end up, but letting go of that there is something that could pull me or push me. Let go of that idea that was planted in your brain, that you planted in your brain that there's good and bad and pleasant and unpleasant. Just experience that, what's going on. It's pressing, it's tightening, it's taking air out of my body, it's tensing me up. Yeah, whoa. It's painful. Okay, for how long? And I'll breathe through it. And I can water seeds at the same time. That's the beauty when you understand these consciousnesses. You divide them into 8 consciousnesses that you can go directly into the mind consciousness and remember that there was a seed also called mindfulness. There is a seed called hope. There is a seed called faith. Among all the other seeds, and that you can selectively remember, evoke by thoughts, by words, by action. You know, we have so many possibilities. Activate these seeds and don't wait for sense objects. The best way to be happy is to be happy from inside out, to water your seeds from inside out, so you don't need sense objects to guide you into a direction of pleasant or unpleasant. When you water seeds inside your consciousness and they are coming from inside out, they are wholesome. There is no need to make a decision. And then when I think back to the bamboo, of course, the nutrition plays a big part. We have the four nutrients, next teaching. So the edible food, how is the soil for the bamboo? You know, does it have everything what it needs to grow strong? Or will it dry out because there are some metals missing, some minerals missing in the earth? It's not enough water. It's not strong enough. Same is true for us. Take care what you eat. Select wisely. And then what's the second part? Edible food, sensory food. You know, what are we paying attention to? When we live in a world where many things happening, then this is because it just cultivated like that. The shops want to sell their goods and they're happy if there are more holidays and more events, so people go out and buy stuff. But it doesn't mean that you have to go and buy stuff. What are you paying? Look how we say it. It's all in our language. Can you please pay attention to me? Everybody's saying that. YouTube, Amazon, right? Best Buy. Can I have a little bit of your attention just for a moment? Look at this wonderful offer. You would say, buy one, get one free. Who can say no? And all our attention is there, like processing. Oh, I don't need it, but if I get one free, I can give one away and maybe, I don't know, garage sale or sell it for hire. And then we are already somewhere where we didn't want to go. This is this field of fate. If we're training ourselves with our daily practice, and this is as simple as it can be, basically it's just breathing. And then the other options we have, like the eating, the resting, the working, the writing, the speaking, the sitting, the walking, they are just like bonuses to give us choice how we want to connect with ourselves, how we want to feel our one self, how we want to embrace and be at peace, whatever it costs, however unpleasant it feels, and we experience it. We want to go through it. We want to hear it. We want to experience it. The way in is out, Tai says. So in the sea, usually when you go, let's say you go somewhere, what's next? Black Friday? No, maybe not Black Friday. You want to buy something for Thanksgiving for your loved ones. So when you go and you pay for something, you probably ask yourself the questions, will they like it? Is it good quality? Is the price fair? Will they make it happy? Do I like it? What will happen? Or if you buy something for yourself, are these sneakers big enough? Are they comfy? Maybe I'll try them on and walk a few steps just to feel how they would feel on me. Then you have a look in the mirror, then you have a look at the price again. Is that quality price? Is that okay? Or shall I look in another store? We are very thoughtful before we give them our money because we earned it. So it has to be deserved to be given away. But with our attention, we are very, very wasteful. And somebody calls free socks here, and my attention goes there. Ice cream, free ice cream here, and I go there. Actually, with the word free, you can get my attention everywhere. Or with the word war or injustice, or as I said, good, bad, all these discriminative words, basically. It is maybe terrible what happens there, but we can explain it to ourselves, maybe just like the mind explains things to the body when it's coming back and translating it into hormones and into the body system. And not making it like so dual and saying good or bad, because it just fits and resonates with us in that moment. And accept that it can change at any time. It's a flow, and to rather get in touch with that river, with that stream of life flowing through me, instead of like manas, dividing it all up in different consciousnesses and different eras and different judgments. Whoa, this felt really tight. Oh, I feel so, this is so overwhelming to me. And take stewardship and take responsibility again for how we feel. Paying attention. So how much of your attention and for how long are you paying? To whom and to what? You can ask yourself that question during the day. How much of my attention on a scale from 1 to 10? And for how long am I paying attention to whom or what? And if you're not sure, I don't actually know, come back to yourself. And if you know, come back to yourself. And the way to do it, it's always the same. And Tai said it 1,000 times. And one time at a monastic retreat, we had a Q&A with Tai, and one naughty brother or sister, I don't want to say, I don't know actually anymore, said following. They said, "Dear respected Tai, thank you so much for guiding us and being our teacher, being our grandfather and the wise light, but still gentle and playful and making it easy on you, on us. But you're always talking about the same things, and sometimes it's really getting boring and we're not listening anymore. And Tai put his smile on his face, looking at this brother or sister, and then on all of us. And you often see that smile in Q&As or when somebody addresses him. And he said, I hear you, my dear child, he said. But just see that too. I'm talking about the same thing hundreds and thousands of times and repeat myself again and again, and you still don't get it. And then everybody cracked because everybody was addressed. Everybody found that it's boring to hear about, I don't know, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Paths for the 1200th time, but we still didn't get it. And the same is true when Tai speaks about rocking a baby. When we have how to deal with strong emotions, we rock it like a baby, like a mother would take care of her child. And that's the first obstacle. Many people say, yeah, I cannot use this image because I had a terrible mother and it's just not working for me. You don't get it, you know? Or yeah, no, babies are not my thing. Can I use something else? Use not a mother, use a friend. But bring your attention to the essence what Tai wants to teach you. And he uses words, but there is something behind these words. There's something between the lines that he wants to transmit. And only if you're open, you will get it, and then you don't need to listen to it a second or a thousandth time. So what he says, and it's very beautifully connected to the bamboo and what we have shared so far, where we are time-wise. Can I have another hour? Just kidding. Um, what he says, like, the first is the mindfulness. You see, you have to first have a sense organ, a consciousness, sense organs to hear your baby cry in the neighboring room, right? So first of all that, and this is the first step of the 5 steps of how to practice with strong emotions. I mean, let me call them all out. It's recognizing, it's embracing, it's looking deeply. No, wait. It's recognizing, it's embracing, it's looking deeply, it's getting an insight, and then getting transformation or liberation is the 5th. So the mother sitting in her reading room, reading a book, hears the baby is crying. What would you do? You would put on the headphones, turn the music a little bit louder and say, what baby? I don't hear a baby. We don't do that, right? There is something attention seeking, so we go there and see what's going on. Now comes the hard part, the field of fate, the field of freedom, this magnetic thing. There is this baby that stinks, that is loud, that cries the soul out of its little body. And you actually don't want to be there, but you know you want to go through it. You want to experience it. You want to allow it to touch you, and you want to touch it. If you want to feel life, you have to touch it. If you want to be in touch with life, you have to allow it to touch you. So you take that little stinky crying bundle and take it in your arms. That's all. You might rock it because you feel it's a little bit easier on him. That's all I can do. I don't know what to do, but this I can do. I can just take it, accept it, embrace it, and rock it a little bit. And the same with a deep relaxation. After a few breaths, you will relax. Your mind will open more away from this judgment. This is stinky. This is too loud. I cannot hold this baby forever. But you look around and you ask yourself, what is it? What confuses this baby so much? What irritates it? And you're looking deeply. Is the window open? Is it cold? Is there a construction out there? Are the diapers full? Is it hungry? So you check out different things. Give your breast. Tap the diapers. Close the window. And then you will see, then you're getting an insight. Then you will see, the diapers are full. Now you come into action. You're changing the diapers and the baby stops crying, then you know this was it. You feed it, and then you see this was it. And from this action only from going through it, not putting the baby back into bed and going back to your book, neither of celebrating with the baby and playing party and playing its favorite song and put it back to bed. But you're being with it. And then you look deeply, you get an insight, you go into action, and you actually liberate the situations, the conditions. You liberate yourself. You transform yourself because another human experienced, survived, gone through, been there, did that. And if you have really understood, then it won't happen again. Then Tai would not tell you the same teaching again. But as long as he sees that you have not embraced it fully as part of yourself, as a seed of your consciousness, he will come back and tell you the teaching again. And to me, you see, we have the Four Noble Truths, another teaching. I can see the Four Noble Truths, and you know what they are. There is suffering. There is a cause for suffering. There is the cessation of suffering, and there is the way that leads out of suffering. Now, I can see all these teachings wonderfully in this bamboo tree. This is a beautiful topic because it's basically weaved. All the teachings are not separate, like Manas thinks all the consciousnesses are separate, but they're all one, and they just give us multiple possibilities to understand the essence of it. And here we go. We have the 5 steps of the mother rocking the baby. So the first noble truth is there is suffering. This is the recognizing. Recognizing there is somebody crying, there is pain, there is suffering. Now there is a cause for suffering. This is the embracing and the looking deeply, to taking on the suffering and to hold it, to make it one with myself. Then I can see the cause of the suffering. Then the next one is the cessation of suffering. This is when I look deeply and I get an insight. Ah, the diapers are full. I'm changing the diapers. There's the cessation of the suffering and the way out of suffering, because this gives me the liberation. And often when we can connect different teachings and not learn them separately, but look how they are related and how and what they give each other, just like a bamboo root to the bamboo top. It nurtures it with enough energy to have leaves and little branches that can dance and bring the bamboo into movement, which is great because the trunk cannot move. Like the body and the mind. The body is so grateful about the mind because it's so dynamic and flexible and all over the place. And the mind is so glad it has a body. So they complement each other, being the same one, except if we want to separate them. So even we come into that field of fate, into a strong, and we will every moment with these 5 skandhas flowing through us, we will every moment be faced. Train yourself with these little challenges in your life, like the plug of the coffee maker was not in the wall plug. Something that upsets you a little, but not too much, and start practicing exactly these 5 steps, but not as 5 steps, but as a stream, and allow it to touch you, to flow through you, to feel the pain, to feel the joy, but not to attach and not to push it away. Simply let it flow through this field of fate, the field of freedom, and get liberation and get transformation. Now you might say, easily said, but it's difficult to do, and I agree. But therefore, we have faith, don't we? Because we are diligent of our mindfulness. And our attention focused gives us concentration, which grows like a muscle. A reward, we see an insight, we see a light, we understand. Then it's easy to do it, then it doesn't cost any energy. We don't have to overcome any of our self-inflicted ideals, values, beliefs. We know what to do and we do it. In this spirit, and to end, I want to show you what you are able to do with a little secret spiritual trick I want to reveal to you today, because I think you're ripe. Are you ripe? Can you give me a thumbs up if you feel you're ripe for a spiritual trick? I knew it. Even 2 thumbs. Awesome. Okay, let's try this on. Like before every spiritual exercise, we roll up our sleeves a little bit just to create a momentum. And now, if you bring up your hands and look at your wrists, and if you move your wrists in front of you, we will see if you bend them towards you, there are 2 little lines, right? 2 lines. Do you see them? Now, we want to bring these 2 lines of these 2 hands together, and they will fit. Bring them together like this. So one line is on the other. Everybody there? Now close your hand slowly and have a look. In most cases, one hand is a little bit longer than the other hand. Is that the case? If not, you can try it again. Put both lines exactly on each other and close your hand slowly. If it's still the same, it doesn't matter. But mostly one hand is longer than the other. So now take the shorter hand and turn it towards your face and let the longer hand go. Now you see the power of attention, of thinking, of watering seeds in our mind consciousness through this beautiful but naive manas into our still consciousness. Look at your hands. Look at them as if you look at yourself, as if you look in a mirror full of love, full of affection, and say loudly, my fingers are growing longer and longer and longer. And I want to say together with you, 1, 2, 3. My fingers are growing longer and longer and longer. And your hand might smile at you and say, what are you doing? And you say it again with a smile. My fingers are growing longer and longer and longer and longer. And one more time, just in case the ears of the fingers didn't hear it, my fingers are growing longer and longer and longer and longer. Now the moment of revelation. Bring your hands together with the 2 lines. Bring the 2 lines together. Close your hands slowly and holy moly. Now upside down. Now the other hand, my shorter hand became the longer hand. Is that true with you too? Did it work for some of you? Wow. So now I would have to make my other hand longer again so they are the same. It doesn't matter. What I want to tell you with this, it's no magic, it's not a secret trick. It's just playing with the power of our mind and where we steer it, what seeds we water, determines where we're going. And now us, this exclusive, beautiful Sangha of beautiful souls, we have been given the tools of mindfulness, of looking deeply, of looking inside, of detecting feelings, thoughts, of hearing ourselves speaking, of listening to our breath, listening to the silence between our thoughts. All this what our teacher, what our Sangha, what we ourselves teach ourselves. We use in this exercise, in this playful, funny exercise. And if we make moments that are hard, seem difficult, challenging, when we make them smaller and come into this ksana, into this shortest possible time unit, it becomes very clear what direction we have to take, if we have to take a direction. And it's very clear what presence means and what lives means and what it means to flow and to be this stream of life. And to feel also the faith I have in this life, in the practice, and in its results, that I can determine my happiness. I literally have it, it's in my hands, literally. I can look in my hands and make one hand longer. I can gladden my mind. I can make other people smile. So go out and do it. Begin with yourself. Let's all smile at ourselves. Hey, you're smiling at me too. So a smile never goes only one direction. A smile always goes two directions. That's us. Even we suffer. Even life is not always easy. We can smile and breathe. We want to experience life as it is. And then we learn it. And then we leave it. What we have learned will not bother us again. Sometimes we need the lessons many times. My dad used to tell me, my son, and this is the last one I think I say, my son, he said, never make the same mistake twice. And I said, okay, Dad. He said, make it 5 or 6 times just to be sure. and I practice like this, and it's true. But after 5 or 6 times, I'm surely sure that this is the way or this is not the way, and I'm healed. In this spirit, thank you so much for your presence and your practice, for your lovely smiles, and for having me. I tremendously enjoyed the day so far.